Welcome, everyone. I hope you're doing well. And we are going to get back into the crying to the Lord. This is a wonderful message, especially when we think about the question, what is in the world is God doing? When is God going to act? And so there's a lot of people asking that to me. I've heard it being said as well. And so I think it's a good time to talk about this. 5 years ago, God gave me these messages that talked about crying unto the Lord. And the first one was in Genesis, talking about an outcry, which means the word there for outcry in the Strong's Concordance is a shriek. Webster's dictionary describes it as a horrible torment or pain and terror that excruciating that caused that person to give a sharp shriek. So that's what the outcry there. And God says, "I've heard the outcry, and I'll come down to see if it's true or not." And so we find that in Genesis 18, verse 20. I also think about Abraham and how God positioned Abraham to be a point man, right? He positioned him to be at this place to be able to pray and intercede on behalf of Lot. You see, from the chapter 12 until chapter 18, you see so many things happening in the life of Abraham as he was following God. But he was a follower of the Lord. But we also find during this time that God told Abraham, he said, separate your family and come follow me. And finally, because of the blessings that God had given Abraham and Lot, that Abraham said to Lot, it's time for us to separate. And of course, Abraham was so content with the Lord because God was blessing him. He said, I just want to hang out with God. But Lot didn't have that relationship with him. He didn't have that relationship with God. And, he had some hurt. He had some past baggage in his life. His dad passed away. I think there was a certain part of Lot that wanted to make a name for himself. So he had his eyes set down on the valley, down on the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah. They're a very rich people. We're going to talk about that in a couple of videos from now. But what we find then is the separation that occurred. And I believe that's what we're seeing and witnessing right now, that God is separating certain people that are following God with those that are simply believers. And there's a lot of pain that's going on with that because we love everybody. We want everyone to, to have this wonderful relationship with God. But not everybody has the relationship that Abraham had. And there's a lot of people that have the relationship that Lot had. Lot believed God. He just wasn't following God. Listen to what the scripture says in 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 6. Later, God condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah and turned them into heaps of ashes. He made them an example of what will happen to ungodly people. But God also rescued Lot out of Sodom because he was a righteous man who was sick of the shameful immorality of the wicked people around him. Yes, Lot was a righteous man who was tormented. There's the shriek, the outcry, in his soul by the wickedness he saw and heard day after day. So you see, in verse 9 it says, so you see, the Lord knows how to rescue godly people from their trials, even while keeping the wicked under punishment until the day of final judgment. Wow. Then he concludes in verse 10, he is especially hard on those who follow their own twisted sexual desire and who despise authority. So we find that this is why the judgment's going to come. But before the judgment comes, he's got to rescue the Lots. And so that's where we find Abraham. So when I think about what is happening in our world today, God's not going to withhold his plans from his people that he loves, that are obeying him, that are following him. But the people that are not following God, but they do believe in God, but they've gotten their ambitions messed up. They've sought after the things of this world, and they're being tormented by it. So the question is, are you an Abraham or are you a Lot? Are you a follower of God? Are you content with the things God has given you? Is God moving you through these different areas in your life and you are willing to go through the refining fire of the Lord? Or are you Lot? And God's going to have to literally rescue you out to refine you. Who are you? Are you caught up in these trapments because of past hurts and pains, because you've got loss from years ago, like Lot did, and you want to make a name for yourself? And now you find yourself in impending judgment, needing the prayers of Abraham, people of faith. Or are you that person of faith? And God has given you visions and dreams of different things happening, rescuing people, praying for people in dark places that physically you can't get to. But there are people there that need to be rescued out. And God has put these faces and these names on your heart. He's calling you to pray for them. It's time for us to go to work, church. And I think that's what is happening right now. So God is acting. He's working in Abraham's, the people of faith, to rescue out the Lots. So where do you stand in all that? The only way to be an Abraham is Psalm 24. Read Psalm 24 and come up the mountain and be an intercessor. Until next time, may God bless you richly, guys. We've got so much more to talk about here. See you then.